ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਦੋਸਤੋ, ਆਪ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ ਸਾਡੇ ਚੈਨਲ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਕਲਾਸ ਵਿੱਚ। ਸੋ ਦੋਸਤੋ, ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ 12th ਕਲਾਸ ਯਾਨੀ ਕਿ 12ਵੀਂ ਜਮਾਤ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਇਲੈਕਟਿਵ ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਸੈਂਪਲ ਪੇਪਰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਹਾਂ। ਲਾਜ਼ਮੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ੀ ਹੈ ਉਸਦਾ ਸੈਂਪਲ ਪੇਪਰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਹਾਂ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਪੂਰੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸੋਲਵ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ। ਜੀ ਹਾਂ ਦੋਸਤੋ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸੈਂਪਲ ਪੇਪਰ ਦਿਖਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਟਰਕਚਰ ਆਏਗਾ ਪੇਪਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹੀ ਸਾਰਾ ਪੇਪਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੋਲਵ ਕਰਕੇ ਦਿਖਾਵਾਂਗੇ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ। ਸੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਕਰੋਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਸੈਂਪਲ ਪੇਪਰ ਦੇਖ ਲਓ, ਫਿਰ ਇਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਹੋਏ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਆਨਸਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਸੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਪਾਰਟ A, ਪਾਰਟ B, ਪਾਰਟ C ਤੇ ਪਾਰਟ D ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਗ੍ਰਾਮਰ ਦੀ ਕੰਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ, ਉੱਪਰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬੁੱਕਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਹਨ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ, ਨਾਵਲ। ਸੋ ਆਓ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਪਾਰਟ A ਤੋਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਸੋ ਪਾਰਟ A ਚੋਂ ਡੀਅਰ ਟੂ ਆਲ ਦਾ ਮਿਊਸਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਆਓ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਨੰਬਰ 1 ਕੁਐਸਚਨ, ਹਾਊ ਡਸ ਦਾ ਰਾਈਟਰ ਡਿਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਦਾ ਸਮਰ ਸੀਜ਼ਨ ਇਨ ਦਾ ਮੰਥ ਆਫ May? ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਲੈਸਨ ਹੈ ਗੋਲਡ ਇਨ ਦਾ ਨਾਰਥ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ। ਆਂਸਰ, the writer compases summer to snake coiled in the dry bed of the river. The peacock rustled and flaunted in barren field. The camel by the roadside chewed sorely. It was a terribly hot month of the May. The beds of the river gone dry. The field lay by barren. The wells were dry and there was a scarcity of water. So what the अगले प्रश्न बार नंबर 2, what according to Tagore has helped India to survive? यह lesson most dear to all the Muslims. So answer है, India has faced many invasions. India always managed to rise again by her power of self-renewal. India has the power to give birth to the seers of Upanishads, the Buddha and Mahavir, Ashoka and Akbar, Kabir and Nanak. They brought India back to the path of progress. She has saved through many stormy ages of the living world of great her sons and sages. India has the power of binding together despite difficulty and conflict. She has always stood for unity and harmony. The spirit of the unity has helped India to survive. Question number 10, what miracle was performed by the Green Revolution? So a lesson Green Revolution to answer, the Green Revolution is like a miracle and new hopes for those underprivileged billions who have long lived in despair and hunger. In India and Pakistan, yield per hectare of wheat has increased due to the Green Revolution. In the West Pakistan, rice yield has also increased. There is a significant increase in the production of maize in India and Pakistan. The rice production in Philippines, Ceylon and Indonesia has increased. So what the अगले प्रश्न वाला नंबर 4, why did John Harcourt's father have lot of time to amuse himself? तो स्नॉप दे विचों है आंसर, he had a lot of time because he was retired and had no work to do. आगे क्वेश्चन नंबर 5, why did the man drop the hammer in the bushes? ये है lesson the case for defense दे विचों। आंसर, the man dropped the hammer in the bushes because he wanted to hide it somewhere it could not be found easily. It is necessary for the police to find the instrument of murder to make a case. ਸੋ ਆਦੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਪਾਰਟ B। ਸੋ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਸੋ ਇਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਔਰ ਕਰਕੇ ਆਪਸ਼ਨ ਆਈ ਹੈ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਨੀਚੇ 2 ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਹਨ, ਸੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੋਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਇੱਕ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ ਤੁਸੀਂ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ। ਸੋ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। 4-4 ਨੰਬਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਹਨ, ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖਣਾ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ। ਸੋ ਦੋਨੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਹੀ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ। ਸੋ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਹਾਊ ਡਿਡ ਦ ਕੁਇਕ ਮੈਨ ਸਪੋਇਲ ਦਾ ਗੋਲਡ ਫਿਸ਼ ਟ੍ਰਿਕ? ਇਹ ਹੈ ਲੈਸਨ ਦਾ ਕੌਂਜਰਰਸ ਰਿਵੈਂਜ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ। ਆਂਸਰ, ਦ ਕੌਂਜਰਰ produced a ball of fish out of an empty cloth. The people in the hall were impressed and wondered how he did it. But the quick man on the front seat whispered loudly to the people near him that he had the bowl of goldfish up his sleeves. Everybody in the crowd agreed with him. This way the quick man spoiled the goldfish trick of the conjurer. Next question, how did Ford's father help him Ford in his hour of difficulty? Answer, Ford was suddenly attacked by the 2 wild pit bulls. He was alone and unarmed. It was an unequal battle. The dogs were coming at him like robots with no feeling. They were determined to kill him. In this hour of difficulty, he remembered his father's motivation advice that to survive in the world, keep trying harder than ever. This advice helped him to keep his presence of mind. It pushed him to try even harder and save his life. So ਅੱਗੇ ਹੈ, ਫਿਰ 2 ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਆਪਸ਼ਨਾਂ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ ਗਈਆਂ ਹਨ। ਸੋ ਦੋਨਾਂ ਚ ਕੋਈ ਇੱਕ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੋਨੇ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਸੋ ਆਓ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਸੋ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ, what did the conjurer do with the quick man's watch and hat? Answer, the conjurer requested the quick man to hand him the gold watch. It was passed to him. Then the conjurer, with the quick man's permission, put the gold watch into the mortar. and broke into pieces. In the same way, the conjurer asked the quick man to allow him to dance on his silk head and crush it under his feet beyond recognition. So आगे है, what was the Nathuram's problem? Answer, Nathuram was the sweeper of the People Nagar Bank. He was not paid his monthly salary regularly. He was given assurance of a pay rise of 5 rupees, but he had not received his last month's regular salary. So अगे है नंबर 3, इस विच भी 2 ऑप्शन ने. पहला करते हैं, what is the poet prayer and to whom? Answer, the poet prayer to the Almighty to cleanse and renovate the heart of his earth and make it totally free from evil, hatred and war. He prayed to God to give us the power of renunciation. The poet appeals to God to take away our pride and make us human and selfless. He asks God to kindle the light of wisdom in our heart. The poet further prays to God to bring unity, harmony and rhythm of beauty in the lives of people. Again, what type of life is the saint living now? Answer, he is living a life of hypocrisy in the present. He is not a true guru. He is arrogant, discourteous and materialistic. He has no control over his desires. So okay, sir, 2 ऑप्शन है. So पहला है, where does the unrest of desire usually show itself? Answer, the unrest of desire usually show itself in the eyes of the person. The person may try to keep his desire hidden in the heart, but it was manifest itself in some way through the expression in his eyes. Okay, what is the normally the end of life? Answer, death is the normally believed to the end of the life. After death, one is either buried or cremated or physical form comes to an end. He is soon forgotten. This is generally considered the end of the life. So आगे है, answer the following question in 40 to 50 words. Write a brief character sketch of John Ford based on the story attacked by pit bulls. So दोनों थोड़े को ऑप्शन आने, दोनों चेक करना है, ਅਸੀਂ दोनों ही करांगे. So पहला ऊपर जॉनी फोर्ड दा करते हैं. Answer, Johnny Ford was the first black mayor of Tuskegee, Alabama. He was adopted by his uncle Charlie and aunt Tennessee when he was a kid. Charlie was a hospital orderly and Tennessee was a maid and cook. Though they were uneducated and lived in a small 2-room house, they gave Ford all the chances they never had. They made effort not only to give him good education but for his personality development, made him join the Boy Scout Bible classes summer camps. When Johnny was 13, he saw a word mayor written on the bronze monument in the Tuskegee Public Park. The black boy were not allowed in the park. This made him think that a mayor must be an important person. It was then that a dream was born. He took a decision to become a mayor one day so that he could let everyone inside the park. His father favored saying that if things appear difficult, you are not trying hard enough. Was a source of inspiration for him at every step of his life. He pushed for his papa and mama, and his own extra effort made him the black mayor of Tuskegee, Alabama, trying harder than ever. He became the first president of the World Conference of Mayors. The active and athletic Ford was fond of jogging in the morning. The morning runs helped him inhale fresh air. They also gave him the chance of think, plan, pray and strengthen himself for the tough of his work. His 2.5-4 fights with the wide pit bull gives more insight into the strong character and personality. He was alone and unarmed. The pit bull sprang at him like panthers. They looked determined to kill him. They also made up his mind to die fighting. His courage and his father's advice helped him keep his presence of mind and push him to try even harder and save his life. To sum up, John Ford was go-getter. He was physically and mentally strong. With his father's try even harder advice, courage, fearlessness and strong presence of mind, he fulfilled all his dream and saved his life. So, write a note on the theme of the story, The Conjurer's Revenge. So, answer, The Conjurer, when written by Stephen Leacock, is based on the theme that we should not belittle anybody's skill or professional knowledge. A skilled conjurer earned his living by showing magic tricks to the audience. He was a talented man. He performed many difficult tricks to impress the audience. He produced a ball of goldfish out of an empty cloth. In this Hindustan's rings trick, he showed that the rings were separate. At a ball they joined, he borrowed a hat from a gentleman and extracted 17 eggs from it. But a quick-witted man in the audience tried to belittle all his tricks by saying that he had hidden everything up his sleeves. The conjurer were not cheating anybody. It was his special skill which he mastered to entertain the audience. The conjurer's tolerance his over cleverness for a long time, but people were losing interest in his tricks. His reputation was at stake. The conjurer decided to hit back. He requested a quick man to hand him his gold watch and with his permission broke it into the pieces. This way, with the quick man permission, the conjurer punches hole in the handkerchief and dance on his skill hat and crushed it under his feet. Burnt his collar and smashed his spectacles. The quick man has a puzzled expression on his face. He whispered that he was completely bitten by the last trick. At no point did the conjurer let the quick man or the audience realize that he was not performing the trick, but was actually taking his revenge from the quick man for spoiling his magic show. Thus, the story also covers the idea that when we cannot appreciate a person, we should keep it ourselves. If we unnecessarily irritate or harm a person, we will have to face the consequences. So what they आगे? So आगे है थोड़े explain the reference to the context. So poem है. So इन्हां दे करने ਹਨ. सो इस विच भी दो ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛੇ ਗਏ ਹਨ और करके आया है. ठीक है जी. सो करते हैं. सो सब तो पहला the saint we are told once lived a life of sin, nothing spectacular of course, just the unusual things. We smile, we are not surprised. Reference to the context. These lines have been taken from the poem Guru composed by the Nissim Ezekieli. In the poem, the poet exposed the hypocrisy and deception of the pseudo guru in the name of religion. They deceive the innocent people who blindly follow them and trust them. Explanation. In these lines, the poet said that the people have come to know about the past life of the Guru. The Guru once lived a life of sin. He was just an ordinary human being. There was nothing unusual in his past life. Hearing this, the people does not feel unsurprised. They become hopeful that someday they too would give up their follies. Exactly also the old cloth has discarded. It seemed to them impossible as they are very ordinary people. Only the Guru is capable of doing this, but still they hope for a better future. So अगला प्रश्न. Give a brief summary of poem. The world today is wild with the delirium of hatred. So करते हैं. In the poem, the world today is wild with the delirium of hatred. Rabindranath Tagore raises voice of protest against the atmosphere of distrust, selfishness and hatred prevailing in the present world. He prays to God for the regeneration of humanity. The present day world had gone mad with hatred. There are cruel, unending clashes and barbarous wars. People have becoming dishonest, greedy and selfish. There is utter explanation of the masses. They are in the extreme pain. All creatures are crying for the new birth of God. He prayed to God who has infinite life to save mankind and fill it with a new hope and courage. The poet called upon God to inspire people to love one another and spread sweetness all around. The poet prayed to the Almighty to cleanse and renovate the heart of this earth and make it totally free from evil, hatred and war. He prayed to God to give us the power of renunciation. The poet appealed to God to take away our pride and make us human and selfless. They say that hatred, greed and selfishness have blinded people in the present world. They have lost their ability to make right judgment. They have become dead to the pain and suffering of others. He asked God to kindle the light of wisdom in their hearts. In the glory of this light, the blind will regain their sight and dead soul will become alive again. The man's heart in the present world is full of restlessness and tension. Selfishness and endless lust for money and power has poisoned his life. He has lost his peace of mind. Many people, hungry nation are filled with the determination to kill and destroy each other. They indulge in cruel and unending war which result in large scale of death and destruction. The poet appealed to God to shower his grace on them to bring unity, harmony, rhythm of beauty in the lives of people. He wanted the earth to become a paradise of love, harmony and peace. ठीक है दोस्तों. सो बढ़ते हैं आगे. सो आगे राइट द थीम एंड सब्सटेंस ऑफ द पोएम. इज दिस द एंड? सो करते हैं. The poet raises a very important question in the poem whether physical death is the end of life or not. Generally, death is considered the end of life, which is not the reality. It is only the end of body, not soul or spirit. Our soul is important. Our soul is immortal and divine, which never come to an end. So death is not the end of life. It means the process of evolution is not to stop at intellectual level. It has to continue further till a man reaches the stage of divine bliss, परम आनंद. सो अगे है दोस्तों पार्ट सी, ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਵਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਹੈ. ਸੋ ਆਓ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ. ਸੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਇਹ 4-4 ਨੰਬਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਨੇ, 2 ਕਰਨੇ ਨੇ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਔਰ ਦੀ ਆਪਸ਼ਨ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ. ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ, ਕੋਈ ਵੀ 2 ਕਰਨੇ ਹਨ. ਸੋ ਆਓ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਹਾਂ, ਸਾਰੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ. ਸੋ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਡਰਾ ਅ ਕਰੈਕਟਰ ਸਕੈਚ ਆਫ Scrooge in the play The Miracle Merchant. Scrooge is considered to be a very important character in the play. He is a butler in Mrs. Bewhistle's house. According to Jane, he is a jewel as a butler, and Mrs. Bewhistle is very lucky in having a servant like Scrooge. बच्चों थोड़ी जी क्लैरिटी घट है, सो मैं बोल रहा हूँ, सो देख लेना. He is sincere and obedient person. He has been working continuously in Mrs. Bewhistle's house. He is very correct in the performance of his duty. He bring coffee, toast and butter for Miss Jane. He does his duty quietly without being noisy. He is very innocent. He is the main actor in the game of Louis. Louis utilizes his sincerity, innocence for his self-purpose. For his conspiracy, he spoil the image of Scrooge and use him to terrify Jane in order to turn her out of the house. When Scrooge follows the instruction of Louis and goes to Jane with naked sword innocently, James come out shouting to leave the house. This create a humor and comedy in the play. The importance of this character lie in the simplicity which create comedy with his presence. So what they again draw a character sketch of Mrs. White in the play The Monkey Spa. So बच्चों important है काफी ज्यादा. So आओ करते हैं. Mrs. White is the wife of Mr. White and the mother of Herbert. She represents the happy domestic present inside the house at the beginning of the story. As she knits by cozy fire, soothes her husband's temper and enjoys spending time with her son. Mrs. White is a strong woman, and the narrator even says she is a smarter than her husband. We get the sense that she makes lot of decisions for the family and that her husband is happy with his reversal of traditional gender roles. Mrs. White is extremely loving. She loves her husband and son and is willing to do anything to hold the family until together. Mrs. White is initially skeptical, doubtful of the pause power after her son is killed, though she fell into a deep depression and decided that she should use a wish to bring Herbert back. Her hysteria and sorrow lead her to do this even though it goes against her husband's wishes. Herbert's death leaves Mrs. White feeling apathic and surrounded by her grief. She is emotionally separated from her husband, as after the death of their son they speak little to each other. Her grief makes her frantic and argumentative, and she then comes to believe that she can bring her son back to life using the monkey's paw. At the end of the story, she experiences tragedy once again as she opens the front door expecting to see her son come back from the dead, instead see nothing. One could interpret his disappointment and misery at the end of the story either as consequences of her attempt to alter fate by wishing on the paw, or as a consequence of her belief that she could change fate rather than accepting the loss of her son. So, बच्चों ये भी important है, एक बार ध्यान में देख लेना. So आगे आगे write a note on the title of the play The Miracle Merchant. So शुरू करते हैं. The Miracle Merchant is a very successful dramatization of Saki's popular short story named The Hen. It is full of irony and humor. It is a comedy centers on the prank played on the tedious visitor by a resourceful young man. The prank has a desired effort, but the miracle worker does not gain his expected reward. Louis Corset is the central figure of the play. play, he asks his aunt Mrs. Bewhistle to lend him £15. His aunt refuses him to give money as she had to spend a lot of money recently. Louis picks up a chance to extract money from her aunt as she delivered the news of Dora's arrival. Louis says that coming of Dora would create a problem. Jane Martlet will not stay less than a fortnight in the house, so it is not possible to get her out of the house by Thursday. Mrs. Bewhite does not know that the terms between Dora and the Jane are not good. Louis tells her the cause of the bitterness between Dora and Jane. He explains that the Dora and Jane used to be a good on friendly terms, but now they were sworn enemies of each other. They cannot live under the same roof. Louis represents the dispute in an aggravated form to avoid the situation. Mrs. Bewhistle requested Louis to devise some miracle. In return, she would give him £20. Louis, who has already tried to move his aunt for money, suggested that he can do it. He is prepared even a short notice to produce the miracle which will induce Jane to leave the house. He started his action. He sows the seed of fear in Jane's mind. For his plan, he uses Sturge. Louis tries to scare Jane by telling that his aunt Butler is mad and is going to kill her. Louis succeeds in making her leave. After Jane leaves the house, Louis tells his aunt about the success of his plan and wanted to take the money from her. But Mrs. Muswile informed him that Dora has sent a letter informing that she cannot come that month. After hearing this news, Louis collapsed on the chair in sheer disappointment and shock because all the effort of extracting money from his aunt has been failed. His miracle mercilessly proved him a fool, and hence the drama has been called The Miracle Merchant. Thus the author has given a very apt title to this one act play. So ਅੱਗੇ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਨਾਵਲ ਪ੍ਰਾਈਡ ਐਂਡ ਪ੍ਰੈਜੁਡਾਈਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ। ਸੋ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਆਪਸ਼ਨ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਗਏ ਹਨ। ਸੋ ਆਓ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ। Give a brief character sketch of Mr. Bingley from the novel Pride and Prejudice. So शुरू करते हैं। Mr. Charles Bingley is one of the main character in the novel Pride and Prejudice. He is good looking and handsome with the pleasant countenances. He is an eligible wealthy young man who falls in love with the Jane Bennet and marries her. He is a true gentleman with the easy unaffected manners. His pleasant manner attract everybody. He never tried to impress others with an appearance of a great importance that is actually possessed. So he is liked by all. Here Mr. Bingley is close friend of Darcy. In physical appearance, he is shorter than Darcy. His eager friendliness contrasted with Darcy's stiff pride. He is open and genuine. He tried to avoid conflict. He is a modest person, but not as clever and wise as Darcy. Again, in many ways, Mr. Bingley seems like the ideal man. However, he is easily influenced by his family and friends, especially by his close friend Mr. Darcy. He relies on others to make decisions for him. He does not have a strong will. For example, although he loves Jane, Mr. Darcy and his sister are able to convince him to leave Netherfields Park. So आगे करते हैं। Give a brief character sketch of Jane Bennet from the novel Pride and Prejudice. So करते हैं। Jane Bennet is one of the main character in the novel Pride and Prejudice. She is the eldest daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Bennet. She is the prettiest one of all the Bennet's girls. Her father admired her for her good sense and judgment. Her mother loves her for the beauty and docility. Elizabeth is also very fond of her. She is a favorite of the gardeners. She admires everywhere she goes. Mr. Bingley, her future husband, is instantly struck by her angelic serenity. Jane Bennet is cheerful and friendly. She is always ready to think the best of others. She sees the world through rose-colored glasses. She is striking contrast to her sister Elizabeth. She never has any prejudice against anyone. Again, Jane is incapable of hatred or suspicion. She is aware that Miss Bingley is the mean toward her, but she refuses to hate her. Even when Wickham elopes with her young sister Lyda, she does not suspect his intention. She thinks that it is done out of love and he will marry her sister. Next point, Jane is a very sincere girl. She is well devoted to Mr. Bingley and never has any grudge against him. She falls in love with Mr. Bingley but is cautious about leaving the depth of her feeling for him. She keeps her love hidden from the world. Her shy and generally docile nature leads Darcy to think her as indifferent to Mr. Bingley. Therefore, he advises Bingley not to marry her. Darcy feels justified in advising his friend Bingley against marrying Jane. Last point, thus we find Jane a very meek, patient and self-sacrificing girl with a generous heart. So ਅੱਗੇ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਅੱਗੇ ਹੈ part D. part D ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈ write a paragraph of 150 word on any of the following. So 5 ਹੈ, 5 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਇੱਕ ਪੈਰਾਗ੍ਰਾਫ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ, ਬਾਕੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਗ੍ਰਾਮਰ ਦੇ ਹਨ. ਸੋ ਬੱਚਿਓ ਗ੍ਰਾਮਰ ਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਆਪ ਕਰਨਾ ਪਏਗਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਣਗੇ, ਚੇਂਜ ਹੋਈ ਆਣਗੇ. ਸੋ ਉੱਪਰ ਪੈਰਾਗ੍ਰਾਫ ਹੈ, ਇਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸੈਪਰੇਟ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਨੀਚੇ ਕਮੈਂਟ ਕਰ ਦੇਣਾ, ਲਿਆ ਦੇਵਾਂਗੇ. ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਜੀ. ਸੋ ਬੱਚਿਓ ਅੱਜ ਤੱਕ ਲਈ ਇੰਨਾ ਹੀ, ਮਿਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਨਵੀਂ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਵੀਂ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਲੈ ਕੇ. ਤਦ ਤੱਕ ਲਈ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ.